Alright, what up? This is Sam. This is my first video. I'm still figuring it out. I think that that's going to be part of it. Okay, let's just cut that. I'm going to show how like I make something like this. And it's a lot of little lines. It starts out with paint. They're pretty much all on plywood. I should probably have a script, but fuck it. This is what we're doing. But today, we have this beautiful piece of scrap plywood. And I doubt that this is going to be the take that I use, but like I'm trying to be as, I don't know, honest and transparent as possible. Like, I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I mean, I know how to make these things, I know how to make art, but I don't know how to make videos, and like, don't know how to edit them really, but I'm going to figure it out, and these videos are going to change in the course of me doing this. I want to show people my process because it's really helped me deal with anxiety and depression mostly, and I'm not saying that this should supersede any medical advice or anything, but it's something that's really helped me get through some tough times in my life, and especially quarantine at this point. So yeah, we're gonna get started. We're gonna paint this guy, we're gonna let it dry, and then I'm gonna show you how to make this grid. Yeah, it'll be fun. Cool beans. It's gonna be awkward as shit. I think that's gonna be part of it because I'm an awkward motherfucker. And I'll figure it out as I go along. I mean, that's half the fun, right? It's just figuring it out. And I know I'm gonna mess up a lot. So yeah. Now I'm gonna awkwardly exit the frame and turn off the camera, and then I'm gonna go overhead so you can see me painting this beautiful boy.
Alright, and here we are in the overhead. There were my beautiful hands. We're going to start by just kind of squirting some paint on there. There's a little bit of red that got on my thumb, and then a lot more red that came out of a bottle. There's some yellow that I poured out of a bottle, and then this iridescent pearl, I think it's called. Yeah, and so with this kind of underpainting, I'm just trying to have like a fun kind of dynamic background just to start out with. So I'm going to spread out all of my yellow, and then I'm going to move on to that iridescent pearl that's on the left, and then I'm going to finish with the red. Still just getting that yellow down, almost done with the iridescent pearl color. About to move into the red, right about now. We're spreading out the red, and I apologize for the glare. I did not notice it as I was working. It is kind of distracting, but we're just going to keep it rolling because this was a one-time event. Obviously, painting this piece of plywood, I can't really go back in time, so we're just gonna have to deal with the glare for this video, and I'll get better at it as we move along. And so right now you can see me scraping off excess paint off of the plywood, and I'm letting the texture of the wood kind of speak for itself. And I'm using that excess paint on another piece of plywood that isn't in frame, but you will kind of see on the right side of your screen when we move to the time lapse, which is coming up here soon. But yeah, I'm just scraping off excess paint, letting that texture really come out, and I'm about to actually pour acrylic latex paint, which is a little bit different than the acrylic paint that is the red and the yellow and that iridescent pearl. And the latex interacts with the other acrylic in a very interesting way. I actually used kind of my brush water so that some of the pigment is pretty similar. So that there is like some continuity, I guess, or however you want to put it. So I pour in two phases. I pour straight latex, and then I pour the latex watered down with my brush. All right, and here comes the second pour with that watered down latex. And you can also see my stirring stick, which is actually just a literal stick that has paint all over it. It's my close friend and confidant. And here you see me adding a little bit more latex to that top left corner. I just compositionally, I thought it was going to look better, scraping off a little bit more paint. And here is an extended time lapse of paint drying.
Alright, so it took about two days for the whole thing to dry because it's cold out and it's January. But in the meantime, I got some painting done. I also built a Lazy Susan to help with the time lapse, and I'll show the Lazy Susan at a later date. But right now, let's get back to drawing because I don't want to get too distracted. Yeah, so right now we're going to draw a 2-point perspective grid on top of the acrylic latex with a pencil, so I know where I'm going to be applying the ink when we start the time lapse. So let's get it started. Awkward as shit. Hell yeah.
Okay, So here we are. We're going to start with the grid, and I think I just have to apologize for the audio quality. I'm still figuring out the microphones, and as this is my first video, I can say I'm figuring it out as many times as I want during this first video. So we're doing a 2-point perspective, as I said, and the first vanishing point is right where my middle finger is, or where it just was, I guess, right where my index finger is right now. That's where the first vanishing point is. It's actually in the middle of our piece. And then the second vanishing point is like off the top right, and you can kind of see me finding it. I actually marked a place on my table. Yeah. And so, I mean, as I said, like I'm just making a grid on top of the acrylic latex, which is that lighter pigment, the kind of white stuff, just so that I know where I'm going to be putting the ink down when we move on to the ink time lapse, which I think is going to be the star of the show, if I'm being honest. And here we are. We are in the ink time lapse, the star of the show. And I think I'm just going to kind of shut up for a sec and just let you watch me in my happy place. This is really where I find the most enjoyment during these pieces and the most peace of mind. So I'll shut up and let you watch. All right, so I just finished, I guess, half of filling it in with ink, and I kind of do it in, I guess, in perpendicular sections. So the way I would describe it is a checkerboard, except I fill in the whole thing with perpendicular lines. And so, like the first way, I guess I would say I was going horizontal in all those little boxes, and now I'm going vertical in all the boxes, and I'm about to be done filling it in a moment here. And there we are. We're done filling it in. So now I'm going to actually outline both of these shapes. And I think it's kind of interesting that the shapes started together and now they're separate. It's always really fun for me to figure out what it's going to be after it dries. And now you can see me. I'm actually drawing the grid again on top of all the ink because it kind of seals everything in and really makes the piece look finished. And I'm about to be done filling in the new grid, and now we're going to move into arguably my favorite part of this whole video, which is the close-up section. Yeah, and so we're going to zoom on in and look at all those little lines that we just did. And we're still just looking at all the lines, appreciating the work that we put in over those hours of scratching into a piece of wood. Without further ado, I think we're about to jump into the awkward closing statements section, which is imminent. It's about to happen. Oh, here we are.
All right, we did it. That was my first video. It was a lot of fun. I had a really good time making it. It was definitely interesting, I guess would be a word for it. I learned a lot about filming and sound and microphones and all that jazz, all that fun stuff. But yeah, here's the finished product. As I said, it was super fun to do. I'm excited to do more of these, and yeah, thanks for joining me. Stay safe out there, and happy drawing. Bam. Bam. Yeah. 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 And I'll see you next time.